Man, the worst part about running your own media company is not only are you the on-air talent, but you're the off-air talent. Wait, hold on. I got to turn my processing. There we go. You got to handle. I had so many meetings today. Meetings galore. Also, I was on the news. Listen, stuff's heating up, folks. Word is getting out. Word is getting out about Mark Kaye for Congress. And everybody wants to cover the story, which is very exciting. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody spreading the word too. Whenever I go on like Twitter, I see people tweeting about it. Whenever the YouTube video is just exploding on Facebook, there's people talking about it all the time. Let me just make sure I have the right processing on here. Yeah, when I go on the news, whenever I do Zoom calls, I have to adjust my microphone settings a little bit. But I can't even tell you why am I seeing this? There we go. That's what I want. I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you how busy. Can you tell I was busy today because I'm putting placards up in front of my face? Listen, this thing about running for Congress, I got to be honest with you. This is something that is palpable. The excitement is palpable, not just in the electorate, not just the people, but also the local news media. And they usually hate me. The local news media, they've never been friends of mine. I've never been friends. Half of them have fired me. Let's be honest about that. But they are really, it's wild how exciting how much momentum we're getting. And I appreciate it. It's all thanks to you Patriots who are subscribing to the channel. By the way, subscribe to the podcast. We got big podcasts, man, big podcast news. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Make sure that you're getting it delivered to your iTunes and your Spotify. We've added a couple of new, I don't even know where to start. I'm gonna be a little all over the place today, and I'll tell you why. Because all day today I've been running around. I can tell that we're on the cusp. You know, there's always that you plateau and then there's you explode. I can tell we're on the cusp because, like I said, there's more meetings, there's more interest, there's more interviews, there's more growth. It's really been kind of crazy. And so today, I'll just go through my list with you. First of all, we had our 47 daily podcast, which was incredible. Thank you very much. Then I had a meeting with a podcast distribution company, and they are interested in distributing this podcast. So we were talking about that, and with that comes a lot of other stuff. It means that we are going to be on more podcast platforms than we've ever been on before. And in fact, there are a couple. One in India, which sadly there was a plane crash. So I don't want to bring up too much. They have other things to deal with today. One in Germany. Apparently, this is something that I also learned today, and I've slowly seen some of it myself because I check out, where our listeners are coming from. I check out where our listeners have been. I check out where the downloads are coming from. And Europeans love American political talk. They love it. If you go to Europe, they're especially in Germany, they're like, "Das ist guten." Trump, yeah. And so they love listening to Americans talk about politics. Maybe not me so much because I talk really fast and they may not understand. But for example, we have a huge contingent in Ireland. Yeah, Ireland. We have a lot of people in Australia, and I know Australia is not Europe, but it's close enough. They have an accent. They drive on the wrong side of the road. So it's basically, I just lost all our Australian listeners, by the way, because I said they're basically Europe. So it was fun while it lasted. But anyway, and then the other thing is with changing over to this new podcast platform and changing over to this new podcast company for distribution, all of a sudden, so much growth and there's so much opportunity. And then of course there's meetings because, everyone's got a little bit wants their say. But that was really exciting news. Now, on top of all that, we had a press release go out yesterday about my candidacy for Congress. Mark Kaye for Congress in Florida's 5th District in 2026. You've heard about it ad nauseum. I'm not going to play the commercial again today, but you can watch it for yourself. A lot of you have already gone to markkayeforcongress.com, and I appreciate that, and you've made your donations. And we're getting a lot of, I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful at how many donations we're getting. We're getting donations of every shape and size. We've gotten $25 donations. We've gotten $50 donations. We get a lot of $100 donations. I got a $15 donation, and you know what I said? Amen, hallelujah. Thank you very much. We've gotten $500 donations, multiple $500 donations. Nobody has hit the max yet. I'm still waiting on that $3,500 FEC, the $3,500 allowance by the FEC. No one's hit that yet. Maybe they're ramping up. But there's a couple of questions that came up about donating, and let me share with you a little bit about that, and then I'll get back to what happened this morning with the news. When you go to markkayeforcongress.com and you donate, you can pick, like I said, you can pick anything you want. You can put any amount in there. And you could even do it monthly if you were like, oh, I'll do $25 a month. Whatever you want to do, that's great. We appreciate everything. You will get a receipt immediately. It gets emailed to you. And this is just for the primary. Now, what that means is that I'm running in the primary. I'm raising money for the primary. We're going to need a lot of money in the primary. After the primary, there is a general election. So all of this money, if there's any left over, which let's be honest, there won't be because I'm going to spend it all to defeat this guy. If there's any money left over, it can roll over to the general election. And then you could also, if you hit, let's say, the maximum allowed by the FEC, $3,500, you can then donate again in the election. It's an entirely different election. I didn't even know that. That's how you want to know how these politicians are getting rich? Running for election. This is how it works. They run for the primary and they're like, I got to beat this person in the primary. And then they're raising all this money in the primary. Then when they win the primary, they go, now it's I got to beat the Democrat in the general election. Give me more money. And then they get more money. And that's how they get so rich, because it's not just one election, it's multiple elections. And Congress people are doing this every 2 years. Think about that. People are like, man, it's so interesting how I'm learning so much stuff about politics, which is good because I'm going to be a politician. But basically, I used to think, it'd be great to run for Senate because you only have to run every 6 years. But if you're only running every 6 years, you're really only raising money every 6 years. I mean, they do it constantly, but you see what I'm saying? But if you're in Congress, heck, you're out there getting cash donations every 2 years. For like your entire life, if you're like Maxine Waters or Nancy Pelosi. I'm not one of those. I'm a term limit guy myself. But it's really fascinating. I'm really starting to learn the inner workings, and it's really, just so you know, everything that regular politicians do, I'm going to do the opposite. So anyway, so I had a meeting with the podcast company. Then this press release went out, and let me just show you what happened this morning. So the press release goes out, and look, I Googled Mark Kaye Congress. This is all the news agencies that picked it up. This is News 4 Jax, the WJXT. They have, I'm going to be honest, I like this article the best. First of all, look at this screen grab. WJXT, they went to my video. Now, here's the thing. In the press release, there's a photo of me. Right? There's a professional photo of me in the press release. They were like, we're not going to use that one. We're going to go on Mark Kaye's video, and we're going to find the doofiest expression we can. We're going to go on Mark Kaye's video. We're going to pull a grainy, blurry screenshot of him looking like, duh. Look at that. Look at my mouth hanging open like I'm deer in the headlights. Like, what am I doing? And we're going to pick that, and we're going to use it as the title photo. And so that's what they did. And I have to tell you, I'm not mad at this because I do the exact same thing with my thumbnails. I do the exact same thing. If it's Jasmine Crockett or AOC or Kamala Harris, I try to find the worst photo of those people, and I put those photos right up in my thumbnail. You can go back. You can go on my YouTube channel. You can go on Rumble. You can check it out for yourself. I find the worst photos I can possibly find, and I put them up, and I use them in thumbnails. So I'm not mad at it. What goes around comes around. But I really like what they wrote here. Listen to this. Former Jacksonville radio host, which, okay, true, but also current podcaster would be nice. Anyway, former Jacksonville radio host Mark Kaye announces he's running for Congress, bashes current rep John Rutherford. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of exception there because bashing, did I bash John Rutherford? Is it bashing if it's true? If I say, hey, here's the truth about this guy, and it just so happens to come across as really negative, is that bashing or is that just telling the truth? Kaye made headlines last year when he shared an AI-generated photo of Donald Trump surrounded by black voters. Now, this is also a positive because this very same news station last year ran an article about me, and it said that I created a fake photo, okay? But in a year's time, look at that, they changed their tune. Now, it's an AI-generated photo. I'm so proud. I'm so proud that they've come around and they've realized that AI photos are not fake photos. They're just images created with a different medium or tool. That an AI image is a real image. It's not a fake photo. It's a real. Anyway, so that's that. And then they get into the story. Former Jacksonville radio host and current, there it is. Yay. Conservative podcaster Mark Kaye is running for Congress in 2026. Kaye announced his bid this week with a video in which he bashes Democrats, Republicans, and the current representative of the district where he is running, former Jacksonville sheriff and Republican John Rutherford. Again, it's not bashing if it's true. They quote the thing. Kaye took aim at Rutherford 72 in the video, calling him an absentee congressman and taking shots at his age. All right, now this is where it gets there's a misunderstanding here. They wrote, quote, the only thing this guy fights for is the last cup of Jell-O at the congressional cafeteria. Plus, he's one of the least transparent congressmen in the entire world. Now, that was a shot more at the fact that he went to Congress to retire. Like, he's treating it like a retirement home. But yeah, I could see how they see that as a shot. Anyway, this was a great article. News for Jax, WJXT here in Jacksonville. They reached out to me and they said, are you free for an interview? And I said, I'm a very busy and important man. I said, yeah, I can make an interview work, but they had a tight window, 12:30. I was like, all right. So we did the interview at 12:30. It airs tonight at 6. It was really good. I thought it was really good. Now, again, I know what I said. We'll see how they edit it because, sometimes they edit these things interestingly. We'll see how they edit it up tonight at 6 o'clock, but it was really good. A good friend of mine, Tarek, was the guy who interviewed me. I've known him for years. And so I'm curious because I always do these interviews like, oh man, that was a great interview. And then I watch it and I go, what the hell was that? That makes me look like a horrible person. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But that happened at 12:30, and I just needed more time to get the show together, so I took a little bit. But look at this. This is the best part. So that was just one of these news outlets. Look, here it is. Here's Street Insider wrote about me, right? I don't know what Street Insider is, but here I am on Street Insider. They just used it. That's a great picture of me. And then look, this is the radio station. These are the liberal bastards who fired me last year. And they had to put me, because now I'm news, they had to put me, there I am right on the front page. I was higher earlier. They had to put me on the front page of their website. Man, the hatred, the cringe, their blood must have been boiling when they got the press release and they realized they have to put Mark Kaye, who they fired for being too entertaining and conservative, back on the front page of their website. And they didn't even, this is the funniest part. Look at this. This is 104.5 WOKV, conservative Jacksonville podcaster to challenge John Rutherford for congressional seat. Podcaster and former Jacksonville DJ Mark Kaye is looking to oust Republican John Rutherford from his congressional seat in Florida's 5th District. Kaye is known for his podcasts. Mark Kaye Saves the Republic and the 47 Daily. He was also a host of WAP's The Big 8 Morning Mass. Nowhere in this article do they mention that I also had a nationally syndicated radio talk show on their station. Like we're all just going to forget. Look, there's a comment here. Look at what the comment says. Barbie Guile. The article forgot to mention that Mark was the conservative host of the incredibly popular nationally syndicated radio show, The Mark Kaye Show. Thank you, Barbie. It's very sweet. Anyway, so that made me laugh. I really had a good time with that today. Action News Jax, Pod News, Podcast News posted something. Yahoo News, conservative Jacksonville podcaster to challenge John Rutherford. Yahoo Finance Newsbreak. We're everywhere, man. We are a Talkers magazine. We are everywhere. Investors Hangout. I was in a Malaysian newspaper too. I don't know what that was. Anyway, this isn't all about me. This is about you guys. And thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for letting this happen. I'm really excited. And I think that we've got a good thing going. And I think that we've got a really good chance too. I know it's early. I know we've still got 432 days till primary day. But I'm convinced that if I keep up this pace and if you keep up this pace and if the donations keep coming in and I can get out there and talk to people next week, I'm out 3 times. I'm out at 3 different venues talking to people next week. And of course, any and all help you could offer would be beneficial. If you're like, I don't know about making political donations. I don't want to get it. I understand how that is. Maybe you don't want your name on some record. You can send us a super chat or a Rumble rant. And that's another great way to support the show. Because look, the show is me. The campaign is me. It's all me. However you want to support me, I would be thrilled. And if you leave a super chat or a Rumble rant, your name doesn't show up on any kind of FEC document. Nobody knows that you were helping out a person here or there or wherever. And I still get to eat and do this fantastic podcast every single day. All right, let's start off. Before we get to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is investigating the rioters in California. Donald Trump announced he's going to investigate all these people who are rioting. Donald Trump said the DOJ needs to look into it because we know now that this is not an organic riot. These people have masks and bricks. And Donald Trump, he was talking about how people were banging, bang, bang, bang on the curb, trying to break up the pieces of rock to throw at the police. Here's the clip.
And when it comes to Los Angeles or other cities, if we see other cities are gearing up, and these people are agitators, they're paid, they're professionals, they're insurrectionists, they're troublemakers, they're all of those things, but I believe they're paid, and we're going to find out through Pam Bondi and her great staff, her great people at Justice, who they are. And Mike, I think you're doing some investigations in that in Congress, but we're going to find out who they are, because they're really, I think what they're doing is unbelievably illegal. Just one thing. So they took the bricks away from people. They're walking in with satchels of bricks. Now, why do you have bricks? You have bricks because you throw bricks. They're very potent. If they hit you, they kill you. And they took them away. The military took them away. They saw him. What the hell is this? The guy could hardly carry him. Many bricks. He's a strong guy, couldn't carry him. And they saw that, and they took him away. Then they found others with bricks. But they're ingenious. They also brought hammers along, very heavy hammers. And I saw them pounding the curb and pounding the sidewalk. And it was like a military operation. This guy's pounding strong, boom, big shots. And it was breaking up granite, the granite curbs. And the granite was breaking up, and the concrete was breaking up. And there was lines of people standing there, and they're handing him. And then he stopped handing him. They just went down and picked him up. It was so professional. I said, that's a professional organization. This is not like people at random. This guy's breaking up because they couldn't use the bricks. So who would think of this even? Did a lot of damage. A lot of curbs are broken. A lot of sidewalks broken. But I never saw that before. That's one I haven't seen. I thought I saw it all. And they have it on tape. And with that, people get killed. You know, they go to the bridges and they drop the concrete off the top of the bridge with a car coming along at 70 miles an hour, and the person dies. And we had a lot of car problems. You saw that. They were all over the road. They were littered all over the road, where the cars got stopped by concrete going through the front windshield. Now, these are bad people. If we didn't go, Los Angeles right now would be on fire. It would be a disaster. And we stopped it. And last night was very good. Nobody showed up. You know why they didn't show up? Because we were there. If it was just the police, because the police are great. I know those police, they're great, but they're told not to do anything. They're not allowed to act. Thank you.
Now, so Donald Trump says, look, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're going to make sure that we get to the bottom of this, and that everything that happens is going to be investigated, and that we don't have these people smashing bricks.
When it comes to Los Angeles or other cities.
There we go. There we go. We're going to make sure that we don't have people smashing bricks in what is and calling it a military operation. He ain't wrong, folks. He's not wrong. He's not out in, that's not like Donald Trump's talking crazy. The way that these things erupted so quickly, the way that they had so many people there, the way that they had the bricks on the ground, bricks that the DOJ went in, the FBI went in, ICE went in, they hauled them all away. And they said, all right, we'll haul out the hammers. We got hammers. They had people driving around, dropping off masks. There was a guy I was watching, what's his name? Shipley. You know that kid Shipley who just goes to all these places and walks around? He's great. Fascinating guy. He was walking around. Some dude tried to hand him a mask. He goes, why are you handing me a mask? Guy goes, thought you might want it. You know, just so they can't see your face. It wasn't a COVID concern anymore. This is the new use. The left is like, all right, well, COVID's not a thing anymore. We got all these masks left over. Let's hand them out to rioters. Better yet, let's start riots so that we don't waste all these masks we bought during COVID. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's looking into now. And he'll get to the bottom of it. He'll figure it out. Something else, by the way, speaking of protests and riots, this weekend, now I have plans. I think I told you about this yesterday. I have plans to attend the Flag Day celebration in D.C. It's Flag Day. It's the Army's birthday. It's Donald Trump's birthday. And Donald Trump has his massive military parade. Now, I did hear that there's going to be some rain in the forecast, potentially thunderstorms. I don't trust meteorologists as far as I can throw them. To me, meteorology is a scam. I don't think you can accurately predict the weather. And I know that because I worked in the news industry for years. And meteorology basically is a scam. Think about this. It's the only business where you can be right. Where you can be wrong like 50% of the time and not get fired. And that's how they do it. That's how they say, well, there's a 50% chance of rain. And they go, and then it doesn't rain. And you're like, it didn't rain. They're like, well, I told you it was so 50-50. It either would or it wouldn't. And did it rain? No. Okay, I was right. Same thing. That's why they never give you a 100% chance of anything. It's always an 80% chance. We're going to have an 80% chance of rain. So if it doesn't rain, say, hey, look, there was a 20% chance. I never said it was going to rain. I said there was a strong chance of rain. But that 20% hit, we're lucky. That's how they teach these people in meteorological school to try to snow over the public. Meteorology, it's all just, you cannot predict the weather. It's just not possible. So anyway, there's supposed to be rainstorms. There's supposed to be thunderstorms. We're still going. But Donald Trump, was asked about the No Kings protest, because that's the next thing that's happening. This weekend in cities all over the country, all of these crazy lunatic liberals with their hammers and their bricks and their masks and all their well-funded machine behind them, they're all headed out to these different cities, and they're going to be rioting again. This time they're going to be doing the No Kings riot, because they think that Donald Trump is a king. They think that Donald Trump is a king. He's acting like a king. He wants to be a king, and they wanted to send a message that we have no kings. And so here's what he said when he was asked about it.
There are several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they go? No king?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Donald Trump's like, look, I'm not a king. If I were a king, there would be no big, beautiful bill. It would just be that's it. It's passed. I'm signing it. Bring me the bill. I'm signing it. He's like, no, he's got to deal with Mike Johnson and John Thune. He's got to deal with Congress, and that's a whole headache right there. He's got to deal with Rand Paul. Donald Trump's got to deal with Rand Paul. Rand Paul is hell-bent on stopping the one big, beautiful bill. Rand Paul is like, look, if this debt ceiling increase for $5 trillion is in there, I am out. And Donald Trump this morning, apparently they're having a big party at the White House. My invite must have gotten long. I'll have to check with somebody on that. But Rand Paul, where is it? Hang on. Let me go to Cat Turd because I know he tweeted. Rand Paul is coming to this party tonight. And I guess somebody asked, is Rand Paul going to the party or is he invited? And Donald Trump wrote, of course, Senator Rand Paul and his beautiful wife and family are invited to the big White House party tonight. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first read this on Cat Turd's post, I thought it said his big, beautiful wife, which I thought. And I was like, wait, what? Because big, it says big there and then it's beautiful. And I'm used to, like, whenever I see beautiful come out of Donald Trump's like tweets or mouth or whatever, I always think it's big, beautiful. Like big, beautiful bill. So I thought he said, of course, Senator Rand Paul and his big, beautiful wife and family are invited. But it's not. It's his wife. His wife is beautiful. She's a very lovely lady. And family are invited to the big White House party tonight. He's the toughest vote in the history of the U.S. Senate. But why wouldn't he be? I don't know what that means, but okay. Besides, it gives me more time to get his vote on the great, big, beautiful bill, one of the greatest and most important pieces of legislation ever put before our senators and congressmen and women. It will help to make America great again. I look forward to seeing Rand. The party will be great. I've been watching Rand Paul. He's been doing the rounds. He was on Charlie Kirk. He was on a couple of other things. I'm trying to get him on this show. I've been watching Rand Paul. I've been listening to what he says. I've been watching what's going on with the big, beautiful bill. I've been following the Office of Budget Management. I've been following the Congressional Budget Office. This is my life now that I'm running for Congress. That's the thing. I mean, I used to do it as a podcaster. Now, as a candidate, I'm like, someone's going to ask me about this and I'm going to need to know something about it. So I've been doing a lot of preparation, a lot of test prep. But I'll be honest with you. I see what Senator Rand Paul is saying, and a lot of conservatives also see what Senator Rand Paul is saying, but I think he's missing the boat, and I think he's falling for a gimmick that the Congressional Budget Office is using to try to turn people against the one big, beautiful bill. And I'll get to that here. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So we'll get to that here in just a minute. There's so much other great stuff going on today. And again, I didn't prep at all. Oh, the other thing that happened was, so I had the podcast meeting. I did the interview, and then I reached out to Caroline Leavitt, who's the press secretary, who, again, I want to play. This is my favorite thing. There's a lot of great Caroline Leavitt quotes, but this is still one of my favorites. The two questions that she was asked yesterday that she couldn't even believe how stupid and ridiculous these questions were from the fake news. We aired it live on the show yesterday, but I just want to remind you, when she called out this reporter, just so just so nonchalant. She was just like, wait, was that really your question? Oh, what a stupid question.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
That was So wait a minute. If there were peaceful protests, the president would allow that. Of course he would. Of course. Donald Trump, of course he supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question.
Yeah, what if, what a stupid question.
It's been reported that
that's not,
may be boycotting tonight.
I couldn't care
that's not the
less.
one I wanted. Oh, my thing moved. Oh, that ruined the whole joke. I was going to say, what a stupid question.
You're a fool.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
Blaming.
Sorry. I have to put the short "You're a fool" on the button bar along with. I have to get back to using my button bar. I used to have a lot of these. I used to have a lot of these on my little button bar here, so that I could just hit a button and I could play some of my favorite clips. Mostly they were Biden and Kamala clips that I found really came in handy. But the "You're a fool" one, I think that's gold. I may have. In fact, you know what? Let me do that give me just a second here. I'm going to add that to the button bar right now. And then of course we'll edit up "What a Stupid Question." And we'll add that one as well too, because those were both just really too good. Let me see, where's the "You're a Fool"? Oh wait, I gotta play it first and then I can add it. Here, all right, here we go. Ready? Here's "You're a Fool."
You're a fool.
Okay, good. And now this is my favorite thing to do in the world. Okay, and "Fool" short. There we go. Now I have it. Listen, this is great. So now I have it conveniently located here. So whenever I want to play it,
You're a fool.
it's just right there ready. It's just right there ready for me. Speaking of which, there was this other idiot reporter, fake news reporter, who asked another dumb question, probably the second dumbest question I've ever heard asked. And that was, did Donald Trump send the military into Los Angeles because he was fighting with Elon Musk?
On just everything sort of we've seen so far with the president's response to the LA protests, there is criticism that seems to suggest that the president responded the way he did because it was a deliberate, calculated attempt to sort of shift focus away from his feud with Musk. How would you respond to that?
The president responded to the LA riots, condemning the violence to
from Musk.
That's an incredibly disingenuous attack. The president saw images of Border Patrol and ICE agents being hailed with rocks and Molotov cocktails. He saw vehicles being burned to the ground with illegal aliens flying foreign flags, and that's what prompted the president to have this response that has clearly worked, because last night in Los Angeles, you didn't see many of those images. And I would add the governor and the mayor need to actually do more. I know Gavin Newsom had a big address to the nation last night. I guess he thought that's what it was for maybe his future political ambitions, but he spoke a lot of words. We haven't seen action. California has been a mess for years because of the incompetence of Gavin Newsom, so the president was responding to that only.
The question, once again, I can't believe this was an actual, I don't know who these reporters are. Here's what annoys me. I can't get a seat at the White House, right? I know that there's one new media seat. There's thousands of podcasts. I know because I check, and there's new ones every single day. And I know that too, because I check. I go, what? We don't need any more new podcasts. Everybody stop podcasting. No, I'm just kidding. I love podcasts. I think there should be more of them. In fact, if you need help with a podcast, I have something coming up, which I'm very excited about. And I'll tell you about that here in just a few. But listen, the fact of the matter is that should be a room full of me's. That should be a room full of podcasters. They have one chair and it rotates. And yet these idiots are allowed to come in every single day and ask stupid questions like, does Donald Trump allow peaceful protests? Yeah, what a stupid question. And this tool who says, here's the premise of her question once again. Donald Trump and Elon Musk were going tit for tat on Twitter. That's tough to say. And Elon Musk was saying Donald Trump's in the Epstein files and Donald Trump should be impeached. And Elon Musk was having an episode and whatever. And they were like mad at each other. And then Donald Trump was like, I'm not going to take his phone call. And this reporter goes, is the reason why Donald Trump sent National Guard troops and Marines into LA, was it so that people would stop asking about the feud going on with him and Elon Musk? Like Donald Trump needs to attack a major city with the Marine Corps so that people will stop talking about him and Elon Musk. Fun fact, people are still talking about him and Elon Musk. Fun fact, Donald Trump doesn't care what you say about him. And no, Donald Trump's not going to send in the Marine Corps and the National Guard because he's having a spat with his BFF. What a stupid question.
You're a fool.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to have so much fun. I'm going to have so much fun with this. Hey, speaking of fun, let's talk about Brandon Gill. Brandon Gill and I, y'all, you want to talk about BFFs? I'm making a list, all right? I'm looking around at Congress and I'm like, okay, who am I going to be friends with and who am I going to avoid at all costs? Who is going to like me and who is going to despise me? Who am I going to vibe with and who's going to be like, I hate that guy? Brandon Gill is really top of my list. This is a guy I not only want to work with, but I want to meet because this guy gets it. This guy understands how Congress works. This guy understands how the media works. He understands his role. He understands what his job is when he is faced with a potential threat to the Republic. And J.B. Pritzker, JB, which stands for Jumbo Big Guy, Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, maybe it just stands for Jumbo. Maybe that's his name, Jumbo Pritzker, was in the Congress yesterday. They were talking about, I don't even know what. They were supposed to be talking about defense spending or something like that. But Brandon Gill was like, look, I know this guy. This is how smart this guy is. Brandon Gill, he's a young dude. He's married to Danielle D'Souza Gill, who is the daughter of Dinesh D'Souza. So that makes Brandon Gill Dinesh D'Souza's son-in-law. And I was talking to Dinesh D'Souza when I was up in West Virginia at Tim Pool's studio, and Dinesh D'Souza was the guest. And we were chit-chatting, we were talking, and that's how I got him on my show. I was like, hey, I got to have you on. I know you're on Tim's show tonight, but I got to have you on my show too. And he gave me his number, but we were talking, and back then he's like, yeah, my son-in-law just won the primary. We're really excited. He's going to be going to Congress because it's a red district. I said, that's great. That's fantastic. I didn't know he was going to be such a great guy, but listen to him talk to Jumbo Pritzker. He avoided the topic that Jumbo Pritzker thought he was going to talk about, and instead he wanted to highlight one of the dangerous and disgusting things that Jumbo Pritzker had pushed for in the past, and make sure that everyone was reminded about it.
Do you think that biological men should be able to use women's restrooms?
I'm not sure how this has to do with immigration.
It's just a yes or no question.
Why are you?
It's very easy to answer.
This?
Do you
I
think
thought we were
men should be using
doing
women's
fact
restrooms?
finding. I'm sorry.
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You
It has
tweeted
nothing
that
to do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't?
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing
I'm asking
to do
you,
with
you're
today's hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it?
I do not advocate that, no.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are
regret
politicizing
saying
this
this?
in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
Do you
the
regret
failure of the federal
encouraging men to
government
use women's restrooms?
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have.
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you in
subject
their-
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for? So you're admitting that this is just a political circus.
No,
Is that what you're
I'm
doing?
asking you
This
because
is
you put
nothing
this
to do
on
with
the
immigration
internet for everybody
and really
to see.
about you grandstanding.
I'm asking you, have you ever considered that women don't want you in their bathrooms? That's a private space that they don't want you or any other man in.
Congressman, let's talk about
You
your
can't say that
failure to
normal
vote
people
for
can say that
Medicaid.
they
In
don't,
fact, you want to
that
take
they don't
Medicaid
think
away.
men should be in
and
women's
SNAP
restrooms.
And
That's a
veteran
very
services.
straightforward question.
You apparently want people
And you're
to die
encouraging men to
in the
use
United
women's
States
restrooms
because you
where there
want to
could be
take healthcare
underage
away.
girls. Do you think that's appropriate?
Sir, if we're going to
you think that's
politicize
normal?
this, let's talk about what you're doing to people in
you
this
think that
country
that's normal?
by virtue of your vote.
Okay, so let me explain to you what's happening here. JB Pritzker, Jumbo Pritzker, or Jeff in the chat calls him Jelly Belly. That's also good. Both are good. So Jumbo Pritzker's in there, and he's supposed to be talking about immigration. And Brandon Gill's like, look, I want to make sure everybody knows what kind of a sleazeball this is. So he finds this old post on X or on Twitter or whatever it was back then that says, all men should use the women's restroom today. And he asks him, he goes, did you think that was a good idea? Did you use the women's the restroom? You're telling dudes, all dudes, every dude, whether it's an old dude, a young dude, a criminal dude, an illegal immigrant dude, a pedophile dude, all dudes, dudes with weird fetishes. All dudes use the women's restroom today to get back at Donald Trump. You put that out there as an elected official. Did you think that was a good idea? Did you do it yourself? And he goes, no, I've never used a women's bathroom. And he goes, oh, so you just want all the other dudes to do it. And did you even stop to think that maybe the women don't want men in the women's room? Did you ever stop to think about the female constituents that maybe feel angry or upset or scared when they see dudes in their restroom? Did you ever stop and think about that? This is supposed to be about immigration. No, what Brandon Gill is doing is introducing to the congressional record and making it now public record. That tweet is now public record. That tweet is in the congressional record. What he's doing is he's reminding everybody what a disgusting idiot J.B. Pritzker is. Jelly Belly Jumbo Pritzker is just, I mean, he's just another billionaire. The guy's a billionaire. He's is it the Hiltons, the Hyatts, which it's one of the hotel chains. Marriott? Hang on, I don't know. Pritzker. It's one of those hotel. I think it's Hyatt. Yeah. So JB Pritzker he's inherited the entire like Hyatt hotel chain. And he's out there now saying all the dudes should use the women's room. Ha 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 ha. Thinks it's funny. He's going to run for president one day and probably in 2026. And thanks to Brandon Gill, that's going to come back and haunt him. Also, that was just an amazing back and forth. That was just an amazing, I really loved. There's been a lot of Democrats having to answer for their stupidity. Kathy Hochul, should we do Kathy Hochul or should we get back to the big, beautiful bill? Let's get to Kathy Hochul real quick. Kathy Hochul was also being asked about some of the dumb things she's done, as her woke DEI policies and her policies on immigration that have endangered American citizens. Listen to this is another great back and forth.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first...
This is Elise Stefanik. By the way, this is Elise Stefanik, who almost wasn't there to do that. Elise Stefanik was this close to being the UN ambassador, but Randy Fine was nominated to be congressman and they didn't know if he was going to make it. So they asked Elise Stefanik to go back to her seat so we wouldn't lose one. And now Mike Waltz, who's no longer the national security director, is going to be the UN ambassador. Anyway, fact of the matter is Elise Stefanik's still there. Thank God she is, because she's able to go after Kathy Hochul this way.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
By the way, if you're on the podcast, you can't see this, but is Kathy Hochul not giving off serious Nancy Pelosi vibes? Does she not look like a slightly younger Nancy Pelosi? I don't know what it is. It's like the hair, the makeup, the lips, the Botox. There's something about it. She's really repping. She's really got some Nancy Pelosi vibes going. It's really, I'd rethink the look if I were her.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th of this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd know it's Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No, it does not say that. I read what it says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was.
This is where it gets really good. First of all, she doesn't know what her own executive order says. One that she not only signed, but signed over and over and over again to extend. This is a woman who has no clue what she's doing, and she's in charge of the most populous state in the entire country. One of the largest economies in the world. It's like I think it's like China. Wait, it's the United States, China, a couple others, and then like New York and Texas and California are some of the largest economies in the world. This woman doesn't even know what she's signing. She's like the Joe Biden of New York State. They're just bringing her these executive orders. She's signing them. Elise Stefanik reads the text to her and says, this is what this says. And she goes, let me explain to you what it actually says. It doesn't say that we won't help ICE agents detain and deport criminals. Yeah, it does. Exactly what you just said it says. The exact opposite is true. Now, let me ask you about Ahir Sakhan. Sorry, I don't even remember his name, but I'm not the governor of New York. Do you remember that case? Could you please refresh my memory?
Legal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off, and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases.
Yes.
New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
Okay, I have to stop here, by the way. She's not only the governor of the state, okay? Like governor. He's Governor Kathy Hochul. She's a New Yorker. She's a politician. She doesn't know what illegal immigrants are committing crimes in her own state. Nobody's giving her some kind of dossier every morning. She doesn't watch the news. Come on, the news, it's all liberals on the news. Half of the news broadcasts come from her city, from her state. CNN, she's not watching any of those places. She's not watching MSNBC. Are they? Oh, you know what? They're not covering these stories. Never mind. That's exactly the problem. She is watching CNN. She is watching MSNBC. She is watching all of those liberal news networks, and they're not covering the story. And if they're not covering the story, she's not going to know about it, even though it's her attorney general's office. like she's in charge of the attorney general's office in New York, and they're prosecuting these people, and she doesn't even know.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you, he found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific.
Because of your sanctuary state policies.
In all of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove them.
You did not in this case. They are walking on the streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times. Now, Raymond Rojas Basilio, do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will explain to you the policies of New York. We cooperate with, I know you're just trying to.
You do not. Specifically, ICE was told not to detain this individual, and he burned a woman alive on the New York subways in Kathy Hochul's New York. So I will keep on going.
This is great. I mean, we could watch this. We could watch this all day. Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul, J.B. Pritzker, these are all people who are watching their political futures burn like the Waymos in Los Angeles. They are watching their political hopes and dreams go up in smoke like the cop cars in the City of Angels. That is exactly what's happening right now. The Democrats are destroying their own future. Kathy Hochul and her obsession with sanctuary city status has now created a place where illegal immigrants run rampant and commit these horrible crimes, and ICE agents are powerless to detain them at her command. And she first of all, she doesn't even know what's going on. And second of all, she has no way to explain it away or to defend herself because she's the one that signed the order, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So glad Elise Stefanik is still in the House of Representatives. All right, let's go to, what is this? Like I said, I told you I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. Oh, you know what I never finished telling you about was the White House. So this weekend, there's supposed to be some thunderstorms and rain and whatnot. But I'm still going. So anyway, I wrote to Caroline Leavitt, and I said to Caroline Leavitt, I text her. And here's the thing about Caroline Leavitt. She's super busy. She's the White House press secretary. They've got things going on all the time. I text her. She doesn't text me back. But you know what happens? I get a phone call from someone in her office. This is how Donald Trump's White House runs. This is really the way anything should run. I texted Caroline Leavitt this morning at like 9 o'clock. I said, hey, I'm coming to D.C. I'm going to be there for the parade. Are you doing any podcast stuff? Are you doing any new media stuff? Is there any place I can set up? I know you're busy. Just, let me know what's up. And I didn't hear back from her for like an hour. Boom, my phone rings. It's the White House. It's Micah in the press office. And she says, "Hi, Mark. Caroline asked me to give you a call. Here's the information. I'm emailing it to you right now. What's your best email?" And I said, "This, that, and the other." Boom, great. It's not the first time it happened. A couple of weeks ago, I had to reach out to her again about something else. Wrote to her, didn't hear back. Boom, got a phone call from a guy saying, "Hey, Mark Kaye, Caroline asked me to give you a call and give you the details on the White House wire." That's what it was all about. And I was like, "Great, thank you so much." It's a system where no matter what they tell you Donald Trump feels about the media, or no matter what they tell you about that Donald Trump being too busy, this is the most transparent government we've ever had. They have a team of people answering everyone's questions, reaching out to every request, talking to everybody. They know that new media is important. They know that podcasters are important. Nobody is too little for them. Nobody is not important enough. You try with Joe Biden's White House, you try getting an interview if you're not CNN or ABC News or 60 Minutes or any one of those. You try. You're not going to get anywhere. They didn't have any They looked down. They thumbed their nose at places like Newsmax even, and OAN, and News Nation, and the Daily Wire, and Breitbart. Breitbart is one of the most read news organizations in the country. And the White House under Joe Biden treated them like they were just some blogger sitting in the basement, in his mother's basement, in a wife beater. But that's not the case. That's not the case with this White House. They do everything. So anyway, so now I'm excited because not only am I going to DC, but if it rains, I'll hopefully be under some kind of tent. Thanks to the White House, Caroline Levitt and Micah. Anyway, let's go back here and let's talk a little bit about, hold on. I got to get back to my, so anyway, I didn't have a lot of time to prep my clip. So I'm going through and I want to make sure that I have, here's Scott Bessent. Should we get to Scott Bessent? All right. So we should probably talk a little bit about the big, beautiful bill. Let's talk about the EV mandate first. So President Donald Trump was at the White House this morning signing a bill to revoke the electric vehicle mandate, especially in California, which a lot of people, and I'm sure Gavin Newsom is going to see as a personal vendetta, a personal attack on him. But here's Donald Trump explaining exactly what today's ceremony was all about and why it's so important.
But in a few moments, I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will totally kill. You can't do anything about it. They can't take us to court. They can't do any of the things they can do with the executive orders. And it's permanent. I'll sign 3 pieces of legislation that will kill the California mandates forever. And they're never coming back.
And they're never coming back. They can't. These are final. You can't undo these. You can't sue. Nothing like that. They're gonna be gone. It's a glorious bill, and it's again putting a wooden stake in the heart of the vampire called the green terrorism.
But they wanted to shatter our domestic supply chains and literally grind civilization to a halt. We would have gone so far back. It's hard to believe, actually. Hard to believe when you don't have enough electricity to give a person a little air conditioning in the summer, and now they want you to take electricity and fire up all these cars.
Isn't that amazing, too? It's a great point. They have an electric vehicle mandate in California, or they did. Oops, it's gone now. They had an electric vehicle mandate in California, and they couldn't even send electricity to the homes. They had rolling blackouts every time it got above 90 degrees. Rolling blackouts. The city shut down. Boom. No electricity. It was horrible. They're living in darkness. Not to mention that is you want to talk about crime running rampant. You want to talk about a haven for criminals. When all the lights go out, forget about it. Anything goes. In South Africa, they have the same problem. In South Africa, they're also killing white farmers, but in South Africa, they have a similar problem. There are these rolling blackouts. They just don't have the electricity. The grid isn't there to support people. So so what happens is the lights go out regularly on the regs. I would say 2 to 3 times a week, usually at night. And what happens when the lights go out is the criminals come out. And so you have all of these people in South Africa. And you can go on, don't just trust me. You can take my word for it because I'm a trustworthy guy, but you can go on like YouTube and TikTok and they show all of these booby traps. I kid you not. It's like, it's crazy. It's like they're living in, it's like the Goonies, or it's like Home Alone. all these South Africans, because they're scared, because the lights go out regularly, the electricity goes out, there's no alarms, there's no lights. Criminals come in. People tell stories about how their dogs are murdered and their windows are broken and their cars are stolen, all because the electricity's out. Electricity keeps you safe. When the lights are on, you're safer. When the alarm system works, you're safer. When all of that stuff goes out, you're not safe. And so they're booby trapping their own homes. And these criminals, they show up and they get a paint can in the face because Kevin had to protect his home from Marvin, what's his name? The other guy, Snakes. No, Marvin, Alan Marv. Is that what? Anyway, but that's what's happening. And in California, they don't have enough electricity to run their own homes, but yet they wanted an EV mandate.
But we're not going to let that happen. Meanwhile, all of the auto jobs would be shipped to China because they're very strong on electric, and it lives off an estimated 200,000 American auto workers would be destroyed. It's one of the reasons I did so well with the United Auto Workers. And now I'm really doing well with them. I did phenomenally with them. No Republican ever got any numbers like I got. And the Teamsters, too. Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters. These guys, they like Trump because I produce jobs. They know that. Everybody knew that the auto workers knew better than anybody how good the tariffs were. And the head of the auto breakers, I don't know him at all, but he didn't like me at all. Now he's going around saying, this guy's unbelievable. He was very nice to me the last few months.
And that's all because President
During
Donald
the campaign.
That's because Donald Trump knows that the American auto industry is the lifeblood of this country. It's huge and it's been decimated, and the electric vehicle mandate would decimate it even further. Gasoline cars are they're not uniquely American, but they are uniquely American. I mean, it's a huge thing to be able to drive a gasoline powered vehicle is becoming more and more of a luxury. If you think about it, I was in Paris, France just last week, and all the cars in the downtown area, not all of them, but a majority of them were electric. Every time I called an Uber, which was a lot because I don't trust the taxis there because they'll take care of you they'll take advantage of you. All the Ubers were electric. A lot of Teslas up there, a lot of other, the Lexus EVs and the hybrids, and they do it because there have been mandates and tax credits and all kinds of things to hamper or to shut down the use of gas-powered vehicles. And that's exactly what Joe Biden was trying to do here. He wanted every single car in the city to be electric. He wanted every single car eventually in the government to be electric, and that would destroy the American automobile industry. It would make it cost prohibitive. Plus, the United States of America is not like Europe. Using Europe as an example for anything is just a bad idea because the United States is way different than Europe. First of all, the entire country is about twice the size of the entire continent of Europe. You pick any one country in Europe, and it's smaller than a handful of our states. Texas, New York, Alaska, California, pretty sure they're all bigger than every European country. I don't think there's a country in Europe that's bigger than Texas. Don't think there's a country in Europe that's bigger than California. Maybe New York, maybe France is a little bigger than New York, maybe Germany. I don't know. Don't quiz me on my geography at the moment. Don't come at me for land mass and all that other stuff. But the fact of the matter is you can't compare. There is just too much farmland, rural, living. There's just too much massive, expansive stuff here in the United States. An electric vehicle is not the smartest choice for the majority of the country. Sure, if you live in a city, an electric vehicle is great. But if you want to leave that city or if you have to commute a long distance, which a lot of people do, it doesn't necessarily make that much sense. Whereas gas vehicles make a whole heck of a lot of sense, and they're the lifeblood of the United States of America. So that's why we keep them going. I did want to mention this too before we get to the big beautiful bill, because the big beautiful bill is important, and there's a lot of stuff that I think people are misunderstanding about it. Is Dan Goldman, who is one of the dumbest people ever. He's also from New York. He's the representative who said that Donald Trump should be eliminated. Remember that? He was like Joe Biden's BFF. He said how Joe Biden was cognitive. Joe Biden was totally with it. Joe Biden had no problems mentally or physically. Joe Biden was a great president. This is the guy that said all those things. Then he said Donald Trump should be eliminated. Fun fact, Donald Trump had 2 that we know of assassination attempts on his life after that. And then He came out last week and he called ICE agents the Gestapo because they were wearing masks. And the reason they were wearing masks is because they didn't want to get doxxed. They didn't want people sending, SWAT teams to their homes. They didn't want to get attacked in public. They're just public servants doing their job. They're federal agents. They don't want all of the hubbub and all of the hoopla that comes along with showing your face to a bunch of crazy, lunatic, liberal, leftist, radical, socialist rioters. Well, now he's introducing a bill in Congress. Oh, you know what? I'll just let him tell you.
I will be introducing a bill that will prevent Homeland Security officers from hiding or concealing their identities and wearing masks, because we don't live in a country, an authoritarian country, where we have secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. That's the stuff of authoritarian states. That is not the stuff of that's not how the United States operates. And that's really where this is breaking down, is the combination of these Gestapo-like tactics with the fact that these are nonviolent, non-criminal immigrants doing things the right way. And that's why you're seeing protests all around the country. It's not that they're protesting that people who have convictions are being removed. They're protesting that they're going after all of our communities, and they're undermining the legal process.
There he is. He called him Gestapo again. So he's saying that because these ICE agents are wearing masks, they're like the secret police and they're ripping people off the streets, and we do not have, this is not an authoritarian country. It doesn't matter. They're still police officers. They're still legally allowed to protect themselves. And wearing a mask is a form of protection, much like a bulletproof vest. A bulletproof vest is a way that police officers can protect themselves. Body cams are ways that police officers can protect themselves. When you have bulletproof vests and you have body cams, police officers feel more protected. The bulletproof vest protects them from getting shot. The body cam protects them from lawsuits. And the face mask protects them from being publicly doxxed, harassed, having their families swatted, having their homes invaded, and being put in other potentially dangerous situations. It's all just protective garments. And Dan Goldman says we can't have the police protecting themselves. They have to show their faces. The next thing you know, he's going to want to take away the body cams, and he's going to want to take away the bulletproof vests. Because he's going to have, you know what he wants? He's going to want naked ICE agents just running around. The rioters can wear all the face masks they want. The rioters can wear top to, black scarves, head to toe. The rioters can do anything. The rioters have rights. But the guys who are trying to keep us safe, they don't. They have to run around naked, according to Dan Goldberg. Otherwise, they're the Gestapo. That's New York, by the way. That's a New York representative, Dan Goldman. I keep calling him Goldberg. I don't know why. Goldman. Dan Goldman is from New York. Let me contrast that with Florida. This is Governor Ron DeSantis, who was on, I forget whose podcast he was on. You'll see it here in a minute. And he was asked about rioters in Florida and what happens if you find yourself surrounded. Let's say you're in your vehicle. Let's say you're in your car. What happens if rioters surround you in the state of Florida?
And we also have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob comes and surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee for your safety. And so if you drive off and you hit one of these people, that's their fault for impinging on you. You don't have to sit there and just be a sitting duck and let the mob grab you out of your car and drag you through the streets. You have a right to defend yourself in Florida.
Look at that. This is Dave Rubin, by the way. That's Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis, going on the podcast saying, hey, by the way, fun fact, because a lot of people don't know this about Florida, but stand your ground works for your vehicle too. If you're in your car in Florida and you're driving, you got your family in there, maybe your kids are in the back, whatever, and you find yourself surrounded by mobsters, not mobsters like, hey, forget about it. Not like the Goodfellas, not the Corleone family, but like, an angry mob of, I don't know, pro-Palestine protesters or anti-ICE protesters or no Kings protesters. Let's say you're down in Tampa or Orlando this weekend and you're just driving around looking for an ice cream parlor to take your kids to, and all of a sudden you take a right and boom, you're surrounded. Maybe you have a Tesla and maybe you got one of those new Cybertrucks or one of those ones with the wings that come up, and you turn the corner, all of a sudden you drive right into an anti-Tesla rally, and these people are jumping up and down and they're beating your car and they're screaming and yelling at you terrible, horrible, no good, very bad things, and you're scared for your life and your family's life. In the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, the governor, wants you to know you have the right to drive over those people, which is just, it's another, like, there's so many great reasons to live in Florida. No income tax. The weather's usually beautiful. Sometimes it's a little hot. Sometimes it's a little humid. We've got like what, 2,000, 8,000, how many miles? We got like 8,000 miles of beach. That's not right. 1,200 miles of beach. Yeah, it's a lot of beach. We've got Disney World when it's not woke. We've got Universal Studios, Key West. I mean, there's so many amazing things here in Florida. We also allow you to drive over protesters with your car and not get in trouble. I mean, what more could you really want in a state? I ask you. It's one of my new, I mean, I knew that, I forgot about it, but it's always good to be reminded. And it's great because I love to be able to say, hey, come to Florida. You can drive over protesters. In fact, if an angry mob, I might go get a bigger car just so that if I do find myself surrounded by an angry mob, I'll be able to just like one of those Bigfoot monster trucks, just roll right over them. Somebody wrote, I posted that earlier today. Somebody wrote, how many people constitutes a mob? That's where it gets tricky, right? Like now you've got to figure out, okay, I think it's just if you're in fear for your life, you can hit somebody with your car. I don't know for sure. I'm not a lawyer, so don't quote me on that. I did get waitlisted from one of the top law schools in the country, but I'm not a lawyer, and I definitely don't practice law here in the state of Florida. But I do know that according to that interview with Ron DeSantis, you are allowed to drive over protesters, which is really amazing. All right, listen, I want to thank, before we get to we're going to talk about the OBB, the one big beautiful bill. But before we do that, I want to thank one of our supporters here. Look at that. We got a super chat from Christiane Haggerty. Christiane, I don't know why it's so small. That's weird. I'll make it bigger. There we go. Christiane Haggerty. She sent in a super chat for $5 and no message. Just here's a super chat. Thanks, Christiane. Always appreciated. Anybody that sends in a super chat or a Rumble rant, we will, of course, read the message that accompanies it. And keep in mind, you can send these things every day. If you're like, you know what, I just sent a super chat last week, doesn't matter. There's no limit. You can send as many as you. In fact, Christiane Haggerty sends them all the time. And so if you want to be cool, like Christiane Haggerty, thank you so much. We definitely do appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, it's just a quick click of the button. And if you're on Rumble, same thing, quick click of a button. Also, this new podcast platform that I was talking to, I think we're going to have a similar situation where we can, where you can send, Rumble rants and chats and things like that using the app. So I'm really excited about the future of the show and everything that's going to be happening. And I do appreciate all of the support that we get from everybody. All right, let's talk about the OBB. As Scott Besson is out there, and he's become really like the whipping boy. And also, he's become really the hatchet man. He's out there. People are attacking him. And Scott Besson, yes, he's tall and quiet and gay, but he's also not going to take any lip. He's not going to take any lip from anyone. Here he is with Senator Bennett, and they're going after each other. And he goes, look, Senator Bennett, you can yell and scream all you want, but it doesn't make you right.
Sir, we had a referendum on November 5th.
You certainly did. I agree with
policies. Your side lost.
I agree with that.
And a higher decibel
and level. I'm a rare Democrat who doesn't blame Donald Trump for winning. I'm sad he won. I don't blame him for winning. But don't come here.
In your statements,
go ahead.
They have veracity.
Go ahead, Mr. Secretary. What?
Higher decibel level does not give your statements more veracity.
Higher decibel level does not give your statements more veracity. I'm like 90% certain that Senator Bennett had no idea what that meant. Because again, Scott Besson, he's one of those guys. He's tall, he's quiet, he's gay, and he's smart. And when he talks, he says things like that. He's one of those guys that you don't even really know if you're being insulted. He says a higher decibel level does not give your statement more veracity. And Senator Bennett's like, huh?
Sir, we had a referendum on November 5th.
You certainly did. I agree with
policies. Your side lost.
I agree with that.
And a higher decibel
and
level.
I'm a rare Democrat who doesn't blame Donald Trump for winning. I'm sad he won. I don't blame him for winning. But don't come here.
In your statements,
go ahead.
They have veracity.
Go ahead, Mr. Secretary. What?
Higher decibel level does not give your statements more veracity.
What the hell does that mean? We don't talk like that out in Colorado. A higher decibel, what? More ferocity. I don't even know. Oh, anyway, all right. Anyway, that's Scott Bessent. Look, Scott Bessent understands exactly what's going on, and he's saying this one big beautiful bill is going to not cause more problems. It's going to solve more problems.
The 2017 tax law provided tax relief across all incomes with a focus on the middle class. Just as important, the law included pro-growth reforms to incentivize business investment, boosting production, and leading to higher wages. A study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research found in 2017 the law boosted investment 20%. What will making the 2017 tax law permanent mean in terms of economic growth, job creation, and wage growth? That's got to be my last question.
Senator, I believe that the full expensing was one of the most powerful aspects of TCJA, and that has tapered since over the past few years. I believe that going back to 100% expensing for equipment, and what we have added to the bill that I think will be very powerful is the full expensing of factory structures. So not only do we want to make the U.S. the best place to do business in terms of energy dominance, in terms of regulation, we are also going to increase the after-tax return capital, which will allow companies to thrive here, hire more American workers for good wages.
What does that mean? It means we're going to help people build businesses here, and then we're not going to tax them out the wazoo when they do. And then they're going to want to build more businesses here. They're going to hire more people. More Americans are going to be employed. And when more Americans are employed, more Americans pay taxes. And when more Americans pay taxes, the government gets more money to pay down the debt. In fact, raising taxes would be the worst thing, one of the worst things that the Democrats and the holdout Republicans could do in the history of this country. This was Scott Bessent yesterday talking about how a tax hike would be, and he's 100% right about this.
It is what we call in economics a sudden stop. It would be cataclysmic. It would be the largest tax hike in history. It would be a disaster for businesses, for working Americans, and for our status in the world. That to have this happen, we would see increases in taxes on thousands of dollars of working Americans. We would see business contract, and we would see a substantial increase in the unemployment rate.
That is all true. The income tax portion of this bill, in and of itself, the Trump tax cuts, which Donald Trump wants to make permanent, which everyone really wants to make permanent in the one big beautiful bill, that is one of the most important facets of this agreement. If this bill is not passed and these tax cuts disappear, it's a tax increase. It's a massive tax increase. And then when you couple it with everything else that's beneficial, the border security, the Trump accounts for kids, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the Social Security benefits, doubling the child tax credit, all of this other great stuff, it's almost incomprehensible as to why you wouldn't sign it. And of course, vote for it. And the reason why Rand Paul says he doesn't want to vote for it, and the reason why a couple other holdouts, not many, but a couple other holdouts, the reason why they don't want to vote for it is because they say it'll explode the debt. It'll explode the debt by $5 trillion or $2 trillion or whatever it is. It's like the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling cannot be expanded. Fun fact, the debt ceiling was expanded last September, before Donald Trump took office. The debt ceiling was expanded for literally no reason other than the fact that they didn't want to do any work. They didn't want to do their job. They didn't want to do that. They were like, let's just increase the debt, so we'll deal with it after the election. That's the reason they gave now. Now we have actual legitimate reasons to increase the debt ceiling, and people are like, that's not going to be good. But the other thing is, the reasons that they're giving for the debt ceiling increase, or the reason they're saying it's going to explode the deficit, is one-sided and is a little bit of propaganda. It's kind of a trick. What's his name? Russ Vought. Russ Vought. He had a great explanation of this. When you look at this whole entire thing, they're looking at the debt portion of this, but they're not looking at the profit portion. And when you look just at the debt portion, yes, the debt increases. But when you look at the whole economic scheme, when you look at the entire economic policy that President Donald Trump and his team have put forward, you realize it's actually going to decrease the debt.
Well, look, this bill doesn't increase debt and deficits. We use an accurate baseline based on the real world. CBO and all of the independent watchdogs, that many of those, and we have agreed historically with much of the fiscal hawks perspective, but the watchdogs, including Congressional Budget Office, are using an artificial baseline. They're assuming that spending will continue into eternity, but current law tax levels will not. So if you have a sunset from the 2017 tax relief that occurs, extending current law tax level and making adjustments based on what the president campaigned on looks like an enormous cost. And so that's not what anyone in the world looking at their spending levels and their revenue levels would actually believe to be a fair accounting. And as a result, when you adjust for that massive gimmick that CBO uses, this bill reduces deficits by $1.4 trillion. It has historic, let me repeat the word historic, levels of mandatory savings, $1.7 trillion, welfare reform, other changes to the social safety net that has become, honestly, a benefit hammock in the last several years. We haven't seen anything like this since the 1990s. The level of that welfare reform was $800 billion. This adjusted for inflation. This is dramatically more as a result.
So basically, it's like the best way I can describe it, or the way I try to describe it to people, is it's like a profit and loss statement. I don't know if there's any business owners, if you know what profit and loss is, but you've got your profit and you've got your loss, and you put them together and that gives you your net, right? And so what the Democrats and what the Congressional Budget Office and what a lot of these fiscal hawks are doing is they're looking at the loss. And they're saying, look at all this loss. And this, if we pass this bill, there's all this loss, but they're not looking at the net. In fact, here, let me see if I can get my overhead camera. Oh, is my overhead camera? Oh, it's really zoomed out. You can kind of see. Hold on, let me zoom in. I don't need you to look at my belly. There you go. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Let me show you this. All right. So basically, here's how the big beautiful bill works, and here's how the Democrats are trying to keep you from supporting it. So you've got your profit. Oh, let's do green. You've got your profit, okay? This is your own United States P&L statement. And then you've got your loss, all right? So the one big beautiful bill is a loss because it's a spending bill, right? I mean, you're not going to, if it's a spending bill, you're spending. It's going to be a lot. There's a lot in there that costs money. And so, yeah, you're going to lose money. Like, for example, there is a tax cut. The Trump tax cut becomes permanent. Because the only way the government makes money is through taxes, cutting taxes is a loss. So the Congressional Budget Office looks at that and goes, oh, that is bad. That is negative money that we're losing. It's costing us money. When you look at something else that you put in there, for example, let's put in there the border security. There's border security. And there's hiring more border, agents. There's getting them pensions and bonuses and all this other stuff to make sure that our border remains secure. That also, well, we're paying people. That's a loss. So that's more money that is just out the door. Bada bing, bada boom. Then we've got other stuff in there. You've got, no tax on tips. Well, we used to get tax on those tips. No tax on tips. There's no tax on overtime. All that is stuff that we're losing money on, all those wages. That's just less money for the government. So this is all just loss. And when you look at the the OBBB, then you just see it as a big loss of money. But that's only half the story, because there's more to the economy than just one big, beautiful bill. There's the money that comes in. And this is, look, in all honesty, the Congressional Budget Office and the rest of the Democrats, they're not used to an administration that tries to find alternative ways to make money. There are alternative ways to make money. Tax revenue is not the only way to make money. It's the only way that anyone's ever tried to make money because it was just easier that way. It's the only way that they've ever tried to make money because they could just say, let's increase taxes. We're going to tax our citizens even more. And when we tax our citizens even more, then what happens is we get more money to spend. But there's all these other horrible things that happen. Like, for example, you lose jobs and people have to shut down their businesses, and then you have less revenue because there's less people employed, yada, 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 the whole thing. So Donald Trump says, look, we're actually not just going to spend money, we are going to make money. And we are going to make money in several different ways. Let me go back here and I'll show you. Let me pull up the overhead cam. So there we go. So Donald Trump says, look, we are going to drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. And if we drill, baby, drill, we're going to, first of all, stop buying foreign oil, which if you stop spending money on something, you're making money. And then we're also going to have money that we can, or we're also going to have excess oil because we have so much oil, man. There's so much oil in the United States. It's untapped. There's so much oil underneath underneath the crust of our earth that was just waiting to like bubble up like the Beverly Hillbillies. It's just insanity. And so we're going to go there and we're going to get all that oil and we're going to sell some of it and we're going to make even more money. So the profit comes from the oil. You know what else we're going to do? We're going to sell gold cards. We're going to sell for $5 million if there's a high quality, and this is key, okay? If there is a high quality person, a high quality foreign individual who wants to come into the country, or if there's a company that wants to bring in a high quality foreign individual, if it's Apple or Oracle or one of those other countries, maybe it's some sports team and they really want this person to get a visa so they can come play, I don't know, on their basketball team or whatever, they can pay $5 million and the entire process is expedited. It's called the Gold Card. Donald Trump actually just launched the website. The Trump Gold Card is coming. Enter your information below to be notified the moment access opens. So you go in here, you put my name is this, I'm from the here, and I'm interested in a gold card for myself. Here's my email, you submit it, and then I'm sure someone from the White House will get right back to you and say, please wire the $5 million and we will start the process for your gold card and you will get expedited service into the United States. It's called a premium pricing for premium service. Everybody does it. The airlines do it. Car companies do it. Everybody does it. Donald Trump says if we were smart, which we are, with Donald Trump at the helm, then we're going to do it too. And so that gold card is going to bring in revenue. Hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, depending on how many they sell. There's other ways that Donald Trump is making money. Do you remember when Donald Trump went to the Middle East and came back with trillions of dollars of investment from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from Abu Dhabi, from all the places? He went to all these different places, the United Arab Emirates. He came back and he said, we have trillions of dollars worth of investment in AI. You've got chip manufacturers from Taiwan bringing their money here. You've got American companies like Apple saying, you know what? We're going to bring our jobs back here too, because we might as well. I mean, we're American. Americans buy our phones. We don't want to get tariffed out the wazoo. So Donald Trump says, look, bring all your stuff back here. And now we're going to get all of this investment. That is more money in our pockets, again, in the form of taxes, because we're going to have more jobs and we're going to have more people paying income tax. And that means that we're making more money. Tariffs are another way that billions of dollars. Here's Howard Lutnick. Listen to Howard Lutnick. Don't listen to me. Listen to Howard Lutnick. Here's Howard Lutnick to tell you how tariffs are killing it at the moment and how much money we are making from these tariffs. Where is Howard Lutnick?
Not only.
Nope, that's not Howard Lutnick. Hang on. Oh, here he is.
Oh, you can't believe it, right? You have low inflation. You got the economy humming. You've got tariffs bringing in $34 billion a month, $88 billion since Donald Trump started. I mean, the Congress doesn't count that on the big, beautiful bill, but United States of America counts it on our bottom line. Donald Trump is doing everything he said. He's bringing it all. And I tell you what, it can't feel much better.
The bottom line. That's a business guy. That's basically how everyone in this administration is looking at this. That's Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump. Look at this. You got losses. Sure, we're spending money, but we're making money too. And at the end of the day, here's where it differs, okay? When you look at all of these things and you total them all up, let me see if I can fit it all on the screen here. When you look at all these things and you total it all up, what happens is you have the Congressional Budget Office and Rand Paul and Democrats all saying one thing. They're all saying that when you add up all of these cuts, just the losses, then the losses will equal $2 trillion that is added to the debt. And that is not cutting the debt. But when you add up everything together, when you take the profit, add it up, subtract the losses, then you've got Donald Trump and the White House and congressional Republicans saying, no, we are going to add $2 trillion in income, and we are going to then pay down the debt. So it's all how you look at it. Are you looking at one section of it, or are you looking at the whole big thing? I do a lot. Sorry, I get excited about this. This is the kind of stuff I do in my Golden Age Influencers network. When we go to get our game meetings and people are asking about like stats and how to make money, I always whip out the overhead cam and the Sharpies, and I do a lot of things. I draw a lot of stuff. Usually it's about business and social media marketing and things like that. So I got a little, you could tell I geeked out a little bit on that, but it was a lot of fun to do. And that's exactly why the One Big Beautiful Bill is getting more and more support. And if you think about it, the only thing that Rand Paul has said, Rand Paul would be a yes if it weren't for the debt ceiling increase. Rand Paul would be a yes if it weren't for the debt ceiling increase of $5 trillion or whatever it is. And the reason he says that, the reason he would not be, or he would be a yes without that, is because he thinks that's what's going to add to the debt. But when you sit down with him and when you explain it, when you go through and you see what's happening, and you see that we're bringing in more money, and if there's a promise, now here's the kicker, the promise has to be to take that money and pay down the debt. You can't just take the money and then buy more stuff with it. You got to, it's like, if you win the lottery, the first thing you want to do is pay off your credit cards. You don't want to say, oh, yay, I can pay it. Yeah, let me go buy a bunch of stuff and then pay off the credit cards. You pay off the credit cards first, then whatever's left over, you can reinvest. That's how, I've never won the lottery, but I've seen a lot of lottery dream house stories where people go broke, and that's why. So that's just my recommendation. That's just my recommendation to you. We got another super chat, by the way, from My VA Lady Virtual Assistant Service. Check out the comments in that W. Oh, well, all right. Let's go check out the comments now. Thank you, My VA Lady. Oh, they blocked me. Oh no, there we go. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Let's see what it says now. Oh, now there's 2 comments on the article. Oh, look, D. Dockery, it's very disingenuous not mentioning that Mark Kaye was a syndicated political talking head and that he worked under the liberal radio station WOKV, who likes to front like they're a Republican. Be honest, look at that. Thank you, D. I appreciate the super chat and also the comment on that article. That's really cool. Now listen, tonight at 6 p.m., I will be on WJXT news here in Jacksonville. And don't worry, what I'll do is I'll record it for you and I'll take it and clip it. So if you miss it, I'm going to be playing it over and over and over and over again. And I appreciate everybody's support. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening with, pull that down real quick. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening this weekend. I am going to Washington, D.C. Rain or shine, I will be there for Flag Day. Rain or shine, I will be there for President Donald Trump's birthday. So you want to make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast. I'm going to be podcasting my butt off. I'm going to be posting content all over the place. Facebook, Rumble, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you're watching me right now. Keep watching this weekend for great stuff live from D.C. When we go live every single day, I want to make sure that you're getting this stuff delivered to you. And if you subscribe and like and set the little notification bell, the little ding-a-ling, I call it, tap the ding-a-ling. Sounded weird. And that way you'll get a notification every single time I go live, which is every single day at 1 p.m. Monday through Friday when I'm not in Paris, France. Listen, the fight continues. We're just ramping up. We are taking this fight not just to the airwaves, not just to the internet, but also to Washington, D.C., and we're going to need your help. MarkKforCongress.com. Please donate now. I know that this election is in 2026. You're like, Mark, we're not even halfway through 2025. It doesn't matter. They've got a lot of money. And when the time comes to spend it and run ads and hire people and get people out there knocking on doors, they're going to have money to spend. So we're building up the war chest, proverbially, as soon as we possibly can. And any donation you can make today would definitely help. MarkKforCongress.com. In the meantime, like I said, stay vigilant, stay safe, stay with us. Tell your friends all about our podcast. Spread the word. Make sure we're growing our numbers because every single day I'm gonna be right here informing you, entertaining you, inspiring you, enlightening you. Together, we're going to continue to build this group, this coalition of patriots, of combative conservatives, and we are going to continue to fight, fight, fight so that we can save the Republic. We will have a very brief, by the way, because it's late. We're going to have a very brief after party tonight, or today, rather, in like 3 minutes. So if you would like to be part of the after party, by all means. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we only have 3 minutes. I was going to play the commercial. No, we're at 3 minutes. The after party begins in 3 minutes. Katriots.com if you want to join us for more.